Hi, this is Paul Martinelli. You know, another one of my favorite books, Cybernetics, written by Maxwell Maltz. Great book. Kind of the story or history of this book is Maxwell Maltz was a reconstructive plastic surgeon. And what really got him to write this book was that he realizes that he could help somebody make major changes on the with their outward appearance. And yet they would still come back 6 months later with challenges of insecurity and self-judgment, even though he had taken care of whatever their outwardly appearance needed fixed. It's because that they hadn't made an inner change. So psyche is the Greek word for mind. Cybernetics is the science of communication and control within our mind. It's much like a thermostat. And we understand how cybernetics works now in an individual, and that's all of Maxwell Maltz's work is on. It's a phenomenal book if you want to start to study the power of self-belief and the power of self-image. One of the great things he says in the book is that a person will never outperform their own self-image, that the image you hold of yourself, you ultimately become. But there's another lesson in the book that I think a lot of people, at least the people that I've talked to who've read the book, you know, they'll share the very obvious lesson that Maltz talked about. But there's one lesson here that if you read the book, you could go zinging by and you'd miss it. And it's the principle called the purpose tremor. The purpose tremor. You know, have you ever tried to, you know, string a needle, you know, or pour water through a real narrowed neck bottle, or maybe you've carried a wine glass or a martini glass, or my cameraman right now trying to hold the camera purposely and it starts to tremor. Maxwell Maltz talks about the purpose tremor. And he says what happens for us is that a purpose tremor occurs when an average person is trying too hard to do something new perfectly. And they begin to tremor and shake because they don't want to make a mistake. You know, in a learning model of achievement, one of the most important principles is the suspension of the requirement that we know how to do it and that we do everything perfect. See, you're going to make all kinds of mistakes when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and you're going to live your purpose. You're going to make all kinds of mistakes when you seek to create the life that you visioned for yourself. You know, I make mistakes all the time. When I'm speaking, I stutter, I stammer, I forget a word. And that's okay. Because, see, those purpose tremors, if we don't allow for the mistakes to occur in our life, we never get the feedback. It is the feedback or the change in the conditions and circumstances, however you define them, good or bad, that is necessary for us to know what the next step is so that we can make the correction. So even though the feedback may be something that you define as bad, I'm going to redefine it as something that's necessary. That is necessary for you to have had that experience so that you can have the feedback and the changes, and so that you can see the changes in the conditions, the circumstances in your environment, and know what the next step is. So I invite you to go ahead and jump into the book Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And beyond the big lesson here on cybernetics and the power of self-image and creating new beliefs, it's a great book for that. But there are all kinds of jewels within this book. Mwah! It's another one of my favorites.